Hey guys, tonight I'm gonna make a roast. I am a little sick of HelloFresh, so I'm gonna wait to make that meal tomorrow. I've got a chuck roast here, and I'm gonna do it a little different than I usually do. I'm gonna try a new recipe that I'm gonna kind of make up myself as I go. I'm gonna do it with Cajun flavors. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start out by rubbing this garlic paste all over this roast, both sides. I'll do one side and then I'll do the other. So everything I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other side. If I can get this dang thing open. I got it open, so let's get this. I absolutely love this garlic paste. So we're just going to rub it all over the meat. Just like this. And I've got a pan heating on the stove because we're going to sear this meat before we cook it all the way. Before we do everything else. We're going to do a good sprinkling of Tony's. And Tony's has a lot of salt in it, so I'm not going to do a bunch of salt on here. I'm going to do just a little sprinkling of salt. I'm going to flip it over, do the same thing to this side. God, excuse me, that pepper got up my nose. And I did poke a few holes in here, so I'm just going to try to get it into that. Do it on the sides too. Okay. And on the sides. Then we'll do the Tony's. And pepper. I like to use that flaky salt. All right, then let me get some flour. I'm going to just lightly douse this in flour. We don't need a lot of flour. Just going to sprinkle it and rub, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. All right, now we're just waiting for our pan to finish heating up. Go ahead and sear this roast. Our oil is smoking. We're going to get a good sear on both sides. While that is searing, I'm going to chop up some garlic. I already have my celery, onion, and bell pepper chopped up. Let's go ahead and give our roast a flip. Look at that good sear. Oh, yeah. Looks good. I'm going to lift the roast on its side and get the sides too. Now we're going to take our roast out and put it on a plate, and we're going to make a roux. We're going to turn down our heat some first. So we're going to put a quarter cup of oil in here. Okay, let's do a half cup of oil. I don't know if y'all just saw that flame up. I accidentally got oil on that thing. Alright, got a half cup of flour here. Then you're going to stir, because you do not want your roux to burn. I'm trying to scrape up those burnt bits as well. Now I have got many a scar from my roux. Scrape up these little burnt bits, because that is flavor. We just want to keep stirring this. because some of these bits on the bottom did get a little dark. I'm hoping it doesn't ruin the flavor of my roast. But I guess we shall see, shan't we? So we're going to take this roux to a dark peanut butter color. It's already dark right now, but it's got to thicken up and everything. So we're just going to keep stirring. You see how it started to thicken up already? That's what we want. I'm at a medium-low heat. Let me turn it down some more. All right, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and start adding my veggies. I've got an onion here. And when you add your veggies, the roux will stop cooking. So I've got an onion. Some celery. And herbs. And I got 4 cloves of garlic that I chopped. We'll stir that around. We're going to cook these vegetables for a little bit. Now, since this roast is going to cook for an hour or 2, they will soften up then as well. Okay, so we're going to add Tony's to this as well. Some pepper. I'm going to add 1 carton of beef broth. And then I'm going to add water after I return the roast. I'm going to bring this up to a boil, cover it, and reduce it to a simmer. Scraping the bottom, making sure all the brown bits are scraped up. My nose is running from that pepper. Let's put our roast back in. Actually, I don't need to add any liquid right now because it's covered. So as soon as this comes up to a boil, we will reduce the heat and let it go. Alright, it is boiling. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on it. And we're going to let it go for a couple of hours. And I'm going to check occasionally between working to see if it needs more liquid inside. Alright, so the roast has been in here for about an hour. I'm checking to see if it needs more liquid. It doesn't. The roast is cooked, but it's not tender enough. So it's going to stay in here for probably another hour. Tastes good though. Lid back on. Here is my roast. I'm going to take it out and slice it. Let's see how tender it is. It just fell apart. So I'm going to go ahead and make some rice now. And I'm going to thicken this gravy just a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of the broth inside this little cup right here. And I'm going to put some cornstarch in here, and then I will add it back to the broth. Let me turn that down a little. Get some corn. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of cornstarch. Good. Put it in here, and then we'll just kind of stir it in. Oops. Okay. And we'll go ahead and just pour that back in here. Let this thicken up some while our rice cooks. So I will post part 2 of the roast. It was basically just cooking it, and I'll post that in a little bit. But right now we're going to do the plate up. So I've got my white rice in a bowl. All right, and then I put some roast in there with some of that yummy gravy. And my last finishing touch is just going to be to add some green onions on the top. Tonight is probably the last video I'm going to do the live eating because, honestly, TikTok is bumming me out with some of the nasty comments that I get. So, I'll still cook, though. And that is dinner.